Hello and welcome to the world-famous Driving You Crazy podcast. This is the show where we talk about all things transportation, anything that gets you from here to there. I am the traffic anchor as well as the transportation reporter for Denver 7 News, Jason Luber, and if you would like to be a part of the program, if you would like to contribute in any way, if you would like to get a hold of me, or even better, call the listener hotline, that number is 303-832-0217. And you can leave a message there, and I can play it right here on the program. You can also get a hold of me on any of the contact links in the description of this show. And on the program today, and coming up in just a minute, I'm going to be joined by Clint Rhoads. And Clint is a plow driver for the Colorado Department of Transportation, and he's also a supervisor of other plow drivers in Colorado's Southwest Mountains. There's a highway down there, U.S. Highway 550, basically runs between Durango and Montrose, and it is spectacular. I mean, it's one of the most breathtakingly beautiful scenic roads in the entire country. They call it the $1 Million Highway, and it's also one of the most dangerous highways to drive on, not just any time, like in the summertime. It actually is quite dangerous because there are a lot of curves, a lot of switchbacks, and there are virtually no guardrails along a lot of the road. But it's especially dangerous in the winter. And imagine having a raging snowstorm, you have snow on this highway, and you're trying to drive a plow truck, trying to keep it open and keep it safe for travelers who are down in that area and residents who need that as a lifeline to get from their homes in Ouray or Silverton out to Durango or maybe even up to Montrose. With over 25 feet of snow in a season, 70 named avalanche chutes, and almost no guardrails, Colorado's Highway US 550 between the southwest Colorado towns of Silverton and Ouray is one tough road to keep clear, but there are a handful of drivers who work for Colorado's Department of Transportation who plow that highway for the brave travelers who need to use that route. Joining me now is Clint Rhoads. Clint is the CDOT supervisor over 3 patrols that work US 550 from Purgatory to Ouray, including the 3 major mountain passes, Coal Bank, Mullis, and Red Mountain. Clint, thanks so much for joining me here on the world-famous Driving You Crazy podcast.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So, Clint, this question was written in Outdoor Magazine several years ago when talking about what it is you do. Who would be crazy enough to keep Colorado's infamous Highway 550 clear in the winter? Well, apparently you are. But I think, Clint, there is probably a fine line between crazy and passionate, right?
I would say so, yeah.
So which are you, crazy or passionate?
I'm a little of both. Depends on the day, I guess. Not as crazy as I used to be, getting older now, but starting out, I was definitely a lot crazier than I was passionate, I would say.
I think we're all that way a bit as we get older in years. How did you get into CDOT maintenance and get into plowing?
I was born and raised in Silverton, so I've known the area my entire life, and it just happens that the supervisor at the time out of Silverton was needing a temporary snowplow driver and approached me asking if I wanted to try it. So I just said yeah and gave it a go.
And you were assigned immediately to Highway 550, or did that come later?
No, immediately, yep. So I was based out of the Silverton Patrol, so my boundaries was top of Mullis Pass to the top of Red Mountain Pass.
That first day behind the wheel, was it during the summertime or the wintertime?
It was during the fall. It was in November, so there really wasn't much snow yet. So not real challenging, but again, I wasn't too worried about it being, I've traveled that road my entire life, so it's not one that kind of scares me like it does other people.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are scared of it, but driving a larger vehicle like a plow is got to be a little bit more challenging than just driving a passenger car, a four-wheeler, right?
Absolutely, yes. You take up a lot more road. You get a lot bigger machine. You get to sliding in that plow truck. It's kind of hard to slow it down, stop it, navigating the controls. Sensitivity of the truck and everything's totally different from just a normal car. So it takes a little time, a little practice, a little getting used to before you're really comfortable doing it.
So take me back to that time when you were first in that plow, that fall season, and then you heard that, hey, we're going to get a winter storm rolling through the high country down there. And what was that feeling like, thinking, all right, I am going to have to for the first time, have to plow this road?
I was excited. I was truly excited. That was what I signed up for. I know people that have been working there and knew what the work involved and entailed. My stepfather actually had worked for him previously, so I'd heard stories from him, and it just sounded exciting, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I was chomping at the bit to put my plow down and move some snow.
And how many years ago was that?
Oh, 2010, 2009, somewhere in there.
So you're coming up on at least a dozen years plus. So you've had some experience now behind the wheel. What was the season like as you were going through it back then? The entire season, that winter season. What were some of the challenges that you had to deal with for your first year?
Back then, it kind of seems like Silverton wasn't really, or the area, Red Mountain area, I would say, wasn't really truly discovered yet as far as backcountry recreationists. So it wasn't too bad. The biggest challenges, of course, which are challenges every year, avalanche pass, roads, steep passes, of course, other drivers and everything. But there wasn't the amount of drivers and people recreating in the area as there are today.
I'm speaking with Clint Rhoads. He's a CDOT supervisor, plow driver on Highway US 550 in southwest Colorado, talking about the challenges of keeping that road clear in the winter season. Some of those areas that are along 550 pose a real challenge because, well, it's beautiful, so the scenery is amazing, especially in the fall when you have the changing colors. Right. But you have so many of these avalanche chutes. You have so much of that roadway that doesn't have any guardrails, so it can be challenging, especially like you said, in a bigger truck, or really any truck, a semi truck, anybody, to try to keep that road clear. So talk about those avalanche chutes and talk about some of those challenges just trying to keep that road clear.
Those avalanche chutes, those areas, you get to learn them real well, and you know where they are. You really got to learn the road and where you're at like the back of your hand. You got to know the area you're in, know where you're at, because if it's snowing real hard and you can't really see, you just got to know where you're at on that road and know, hey, I'm under an avalanche path. I can't be stopping here. I need to move down the road a little more. You got these narrow roads, sheer drop-off, 1,000-foot drop-off, and so you really got to pay attention, take your time, and like I said, just know the road. Be comfortable with what you're doing, and don't get in a rush. Don't get complacent.
So you could really, almost in your mind, I imagine, be able to replay almost every mile marker along that road and know which way you're supposed to move that plow.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Yep.
And that has to be some experience that you only get with experience. So after that first season, you go, all right, that was okay. And then you start moving into your second and your third, your fourth winter season. How have those evolved for you, and how much easier is it for you now, looking back, than when you did it, 10, 12 years ago?
It's definitely a lot easier for me now. Like I said, when growing up here, I knew the areas, the bad areas and everything, but I never really paid attention to them. Then that first year I was in a plow truck with the chance of having any avalanche or anything come down, I really started to have to pay attention. And I realized I didn't know as much as I thought I did that first year. So I was definitely walking on eggshells, I guess, and just taking my time and really paying attention where I was at, what I was doing, listening to my mentors, my other teammates, my bosses who had been here a lot longer than me. Their information and their knowledge was more valuable than anything, because they're not going to steer anyone, and none of us are going to steer any one of us down the wrong path, because that could lead to disaster. So we want to make sure everyone is geared and prepared for any situation we can think of and play it out safely.
And as a supervisor now, you have that ability to pass along some of your wisdom over your dozen seasons. What was the one or two or three pieces of advice that you tell maybe some of the younger drivers what to watch out for and how to work the road?
The main thing I tell them, first thing I tell them is memorize the mile markers, memorize the areas, know where you're at on the road. Then a couple little tips and tricks and techniques on plowing, how to adjust your front plow, how to use your wing when you're moving snow off the outside edge, and just kind of just sitting in the passenger seat with them and riding with them, and or having someone with equal or more experience than me do the same thing with those new people, and really make sure they're comfortable, understand the dangers that can arise if you're not paying attention.
I'm speaking with Clint Rhoads. He's a CDOT supervisor working along US 550 in southwest Colorado, the $1 Million Highway, as they call it. Isn't your typical plow shift around 8 or 10 hours?
8 hours. We say 8 hours, which turn into 12-hour days almost instantly when there's a big snowstorm.
And so it has to be immensely challenging to keep your focus for that long. I mean, it's just you got to keep a focus if you're driving on a beautiful sunny day in the summertime up there, but to do it for 8 or 10 or 12 hours while it's snowing and you're in a precarious situation in a large vehicle plowing snow, keeping your focus for that long has to be mind draining, right?
You know, it is, and it wears on you. You know, those long periods sitting in a truck for that long, strain on your eyes from the snow, constantly just stressed if an avalanche is going to come down, or if another driver is going to slide into you, or if you're not following the road exactly because you can't see, it wears on you big time. But you push through it, and it actually goes by quicker than you think. 1 or 2 rounds, you know, from start to finish of your patrol takes half of your day away right away. So you make 3-4 rounds in a plow truck plowing the road, and your shift is over.
It just makes that popping open that Coors Light at the end of your shift just a lot sweeter, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, the terrain out there, it's different. It's not just like straight up a mountain and straight down a mountain. There are actually some flat areas, some spots where you could have some really heavy blowing snow, and of course the curvy sections with the risks of those avalanches that make it challenging. So talk about the difference in the terrain and how that changes how you plow up there and how you have to do it safely.
And again, that goes back to knowing where you're at on the road and knowing your patrol. Those switchbacks are a tough beast to plow around and try to get all the snow plowed off each direction because they're just so tight. You stick out so much in one of them big trucks. And then, like I said, that flat straightaway through Ironton Park, 2 miles of just straight flat area, the wind blows in there so hard that you can't see 10 feet in front of your plow. So you got to really slow down, trust your instincts, know where you're at on the road. You use whatever markers, signs, delineation that you can see as references as you're going through there. Then you get down into that gorge just above your A, and you got nothing but a steep rock wall on one side and nothing but a 1,000-foot drop on the other. And then again, you just got to take your time. Know areas that you got to get through kind of quickly. Know areas where you're kind of safe and can pay attention and not worry about a slide. Each section's got its own little set of challenges that you gotta be ready for and know what to do when you come to them.
So how concerned are you then as you're going around some of those blind turns and the wavy section where you have 1,000-foot drop? How concerned are you that you might just slide down the mountain?
You really don't. I myself really don't think about it because that seems to be when I mess up the worst. If I focus and worry about something like that, I feel like it's going to draw me towards that edge, you know. So I act like it's not even there. I just go about plowing, knowing that I'm on the road, just trusting my instincts, trusting my skills, knowing that I can do it and not worry about that drop because that'll just stress me out more, and then I'll start to make mistakes.
But you would think that your family wouldn't be appreciative of what you do. What are your family thoughts and feelings about the job you do?
Yeah, my family grew up in Silverton also, so they know the road, and they understand the risks and challenges it brings, but they also understand someone's got to do it, and they trust me that I know what I'm doing, and like I said, I've been in the area for so long that that road's like looking at the back of my hand. They worry about the other drivers causing an accident with me than they are me getting into it.
Because that must be also its own set of challenges for what you have to do. Is you have to watch out for somebody in a Jeep that thinks that they can go 60 miles an hour on that road, even in the snow, because they have four-wheel drive and big studded tires. But you also have semi-drivers that need to make their rounds, and you have just regular four-wheel drivers that are driving up there. So talk about that again, how some of those folks, those other drivers, pose that risk for you.
Yeah, well, that's just it. They're not prepared. 9 out of 10 of the drivers that are up here aren't prepared. They're not equipped to be driving. Their vehicle's not equipped to be driving in winter conditions. They typically don't have any experience driving a mountain pass on top of winter conditions. They need to pay more attention. They need to look at the forecasted storms and trust that forecast is accurate and that they need to be prepared, because we are constantly dodging other cars that are in our lane because they're too scared of the edge or they can't see the road, so they just put themselves right in the middle of the road. My truck drivers, first time over the pass, never threw a set of chains on their truck before in their life, think they can make it over the pass without a set of tire chains on, and end up jackknifing our road. So we have to get out, help them get some chains on, and get them moving, so it doesn't create a bigger problem. The biggest problem, I think, is just people are not prepared or equipped to be traveling these types of roads.
If you could, let's say you met somebody in Durango before they started heading up the pass, how would you suggest that they get prepared before heading on that road?
I would tell them make sure they have good tires, even a set of cables or chains for their car. Speed can kill, but speed can also be your enemy. If you go too slow, you're not going to get enough traction, and you're just going to spin out and slide off the road. If you go too fast, you're going to do the same. So you got to know where that happy medium is, 20, 25 miles an hour, good steady pace, and you'll get over this pass just fine. Don't lock up. Don't ride your brakes. Just take your time. And if you're in doubt, pull over off the road and wait. And if that doesn't sound good, find a road that bypasses the mountains and takes you to where you're getting a different direction.
Because you can always go around. You don't have to go that way.
You can always go around. There's multiple ways to go around. So
it's got to be a challenge, too, as I'm speaking with Clint Rhoads, CDOT supervisor on U.S. Highway 550 in southwest Colorado, about the equipment you have on your truck. You were talking about not only the front blade, but then you have the blade that goes along the side, that wing blade, as you call it. What kind of equipment do you have otherwise in your truck that might help you in clearing the roads?
In our trucks, we have sanding units and liquid spraying units. So while we're out there plowing, removing the snow off the road, we are also putting sand and ice slicer down as a grit to help drivers get traction on the road and to help kind of melt the snow away, get cut down on the pack. That's the biggest tool we have in our arsenal of the plow trucks, with a sander and a liquid unit. If the temperatures are good and we can spray liquids, we'll spray the liquids out on the road to kind of cut that pack, cut that ice off the road quicker to get down to a wet pavement to make it safer.
Don't you have temperature sensors in the truck too, and other equipment inside the
Yep.
truck that can help you also determine how much maybe material you need or how much you need to scrape?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. We have road sensors, road temperature sensors, and also air temperature sensors. And some of our equipment have devices that give us a recommendation of how much product to put out. Typically, those aren't as accurate up here in the mountains as they are elsewhere, so we just kind of go off knowledge and experience, knowing how much we need at the time and putting it out as needed.
Is any of that equipment specialized for Highway 550 for what you do, or is there a way maybe you can use your experience, as you said, to maybe create some kind of equipment or computer system or something that could help maybe not only your drivers but other drivers around the state?
One couple of the trucks we have are giant four-wheel drive plow trucks. So you won't find many of those anywhere in the state other than on mountain passes. So that's just kind of added benefit where you can throw a plow truck into four-wheel drive, have that extra traction.
And I imagine that sometimes the equipment has to malfunction. Either the blade doesn't go down or the wing blade doesn't work right. How do you deal with that if you have to get out of your truck, park it there maybe during a snowstorm, and fix the equipment as well as deal with maybe somebody coming down the road too?
Yeah, that's another challenge, and it does happen. We'll blow a hydraulic line or a pump will seize up, or in any scenario, it definitely happens, and we keep radio communication with each other, each patrol. We have 3-4 guys out plowing at a time on each patrol, so they keep radio communications with each other. One of them has to pull over or stop to work on something. They let them know where they're at, and the drivers from the other patrols kind of overlap and take up some of that slack that driver's missing, so he can get his truck up and going. And sometimes he can't, and we do our best to get it off to the side of the road, get him back to town into a different truck, and get him back on the road and wait for a mechanic to come out and work on that broken piece.
But that can't be very much fun. I've watched as truckers, the regular semi-commercial truck drivers, have to put up chains before, let's say, heading up Vail Pass or over at the Eisenhower Johnson tunnels, and that looks like it's a whole lot of no fun trying to keep your fingers warm and dealing with these people driving by you and putting a chain on the wheels of a truck.
No fun at all. We try to do it beforehand. We know if we're going to have to chain up a truck due to a big storm coming, we'll try to have it chained up before it leaves the shop. That way you don't have to be out there in the cold or after you've already spun out trying to throw a set of chains on. That they're already on. And if you need them, great. If you don't, well, they're there anyway, just in case.
I'm speaking with Clint Rhoads. He's a CDOT supervisor on US 550 in southwestern Colorado, talking about how tough it is to clear up that highway in the winter season. Would you rather drive and plow when it is snowing or when it's not snowing? Because I would think if it's snowing, you're going to get that natural sense to slow down, take your time. It's hard to see. You're going to have your own set of challenges as the snow is piling up on the roadway. But if there's no snow, you might get comfortable with the conditions and then start pushing the limits of your speed and be prone to a mistake.
I would have to say I'd prefer plowing when it's not snowing and it's nice out for sure, just because of the less stress. And there is a chance I could, as you said, push my limits too far, but I myself don't think I have or haven't, and I don't think any of my guys would either. It's just a lot easier and safer to be plowing after the storm. If you could choose one or the other, which obviously we can't, but I don't know any plow driver that said they'd rather be plowing during a big blizzard than they would on a nice day.
How many drivers do you have, and what's their average age?
Each patrol, we're kind of shorthanded on some patrols right now, but each patrol has 4, so Patrol 12, which is Cascade, they take care of Coal Bank and South Mullis Pass. There's 4 guys in there. Average age on that patrol would be 45 to 50. And then the Silverton Patrol, which takes care of Papamolas Pass, at the top of Red Mountain Pass. 3 guys there. We have an opening at that position or that location. And the average age there would be, I would say, 40 to 45. And then Ouray, which takes care of strictly top of Red Mountain to Ouray, the north side of Red Mountain. There's 4 guys at that patrol, and average age there is probably 45 to 50 also.
What would be the qualifications you would be looking for if you had somebody apply for that open plow job? Would you look for somebody that's already been working in the state, or what kind of a person would you think would be a good fit to join your crew?
Someone with truck driving experience, and not just over-the-road truck driving, someone that's had mountain pass experience, which isn't a must. Pretty much just truck driver experience, someone with a CDL and has driven a truck, a Class B CDL. Anything else we can teach you. It's not rocket science to do this job. It's just stressful and dangerous.
Yeah, but that's what keeps some people away, I imagine. I don't think you probably have a lot of plow drivers already working for CDOT that are, giving you a call right now to fill that open position, are they?
No. And this is a tough location. Working out of Silverton, you have to live in Silverton, and it's just a tough place to live. Finding housing, affording housing, and, getting to a grocery store and everything, you got to go north to Montrose or south to Durango to get your groceries. I mean, we do have a small grocery store in town, but it doesn't have everything you need. So just the living conditions in Silverton is what makes it tough to get people.
But that's why it is so important to keep Highway 550 open, right? Because the residents really need to be able to get either to Durango or to Montrose, the 2 bigger towns, on any side of all 3 of those passes.
Absolutely, yes. Our main focus is keeping Molas and Cold Bank Pass open so people can get to Durango. Yeah, we'll close Red Mountain Pass and not worry about it, but we will make sure that Molas and Cold Bank are open so people out of Silverton get to the south. The ambulance runs south. A lot of people work to the south. Not a lot of people go north to Montrose out of Silverton. It's a little further commute than it is to Durango, so yeah, again, our main focus would be keeping Molas and Cold Bank Pass open so they can get out of town. But there are times where they have to wait 2-3 days until we can get that road back open.
That's got to have a uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach when you have to just say, the storm is too bad, there's too much snow, we just can't keep this road clear, and you have to close it because you know what it's doing to the residents. What does that feel like when you have to call it and say, we have to close this highway?
Most residents in Silverton understand that could happen and are kind of prepared for it. So making that call, actually, I feel better being able to make that call and close the road down, because then I know no one is up on the pass track driving over the pass. My guys are off at the pass. No one's going to get stuck or hurt or have any issues with that road closed. And again, the residents here in town, they know that could happen at any time, and they're prepared for it.
Are there any memories that just jump off out of the top of your head that of a time that was really challenging up there, where you were just facing some adverse conditions and you thought, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this?
Yeah, I think it was the winter of 2018, 2019. I was working out of the Cascade facility, so I was working Cold Bank and South Molas, and big storm came in, and we had some avalanches come down and actually not physically hit people, but some people got stuck in between the 2 slides, so they couldn't go anywhere. And it was snowing real hard, and my supervisor called me out, so I went up in a motor grader with a big bull plow and was punching a hole through that first slide, and when I got about halfway through it, the slide had ran again, and it hit me and actually pushed me towards the edge of the road, which there was a good 500-600 foot drop off right there, and it made me nervous for a minute for sure. I had to quickly hit reverse and back out of there before it kept pushing me over the edge, and then I just waited for it to finish running, and went at it again and got the road open and got those people out of there. But it was definitely nerve-wracking for good 30 seconds while it was pushing on me.
I can't imagine what it would be like to continue working in those conditions when your shorts had to be kind of soiled at that point, right?
At the minimum, yeah. It you know, it's exciting, but it's also rewarding. You know, we got those people out of there; they got home safely, so you know, it felt good to do that.
That couldn't have been the only close call or the only accident that has happened to you or one of the other drivers up there, right?
Oh no, there's been a handful. Another one a couple days before Christmas. It was snowing hard. I can't remember what year it was, but it was snowing hard, and just outside of Silverton, coming up Mollis, the inside ditch had filled up with snow so much that it looked like the road was further over than it really was. And one of our plow drivers was coming off Mollis back into Silverton, and just the way everything looked, it looked like the road was further out than it was, and he drove right off and rolled the plow truck down 30, 40 feet, and he was uninjured. He was okay and everything, had a seatbelt on, but that definitely was an eye-opener.
And I'm sure the truck didn't do too well either.
Truck did not do too well. No, it was down for the count. They've rebuilt it and everything since then, but we lost that truck for the rest of that year.
How would you go about getting a vehicle that comes off one of those curves and then goes down 5 or 6 or whatever 100 feet down the side of the hill?
You call a big tow company. You know, we got some heavy rig tow companies in our area that have giant rotator trucks that are designed for just that scenario. You know, long recoveries, steep recoveries, and heavy equipment. So we get them up there and get them out of there.
I'm speaking with Clint Rhoads. He's a CDOT supervisor working on US 550 in southwest Colorado, and the challenges of plowing and keeping that road clear of all the snow and the ice in the winter season. I know you folks are, I think, paid a little bit extra bonus for working that highway. Is the money worth it?
To some it is, to some it isn't. They've kind of taken away some of that bonus pay from us, so it's not as inviting as it used to be. But you know, like I said, someone's got to do it, and we're the ones who do it.
So I imagine that you, like a lot of other folks, me included, that have a unique job with its unique set of stresses, that you just almost become used to it. And even though you have those challenges to deal with, and even though it is a high-stress job, it's almost comforting in a way.
It is. It is. Knowing that there's a good group of guys out there that take care of the roads, it really eases a lot of people's minds. They know they can travel these passes safely, and with little to no problems anymore. We really hammer it and step up our game. We have so many more travelers nowadays that come up here that we really hit the roads hard and do everything we can to make them as safe as possible.
It almost must be the same kind of a feeling as somebody who is in construction who has been working for the last 18 months on a high-rise in, let's say, downtown Denver, that goes, you know, look what I just helped build.
Absolutely. Knowing that you got that family home safely, or knowing that road is in good shape because of what you did and being out there plowing, there's not a better feeling than that.
And I imagine that the folks there in Silverton or Ray or Ridgeway or any of those towns up there probably see you almost as local heroes.
I wouldn't know if they call us that or not, but I guess maybe in some of their eyes we could be.
Oh, I hope at least they buy you a Coors Light when you stop into the local tavern.
You know they do. Absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of things that I will do in my life. I'm not sure I'm ready to do that. I can understand some of the stresses that you're dealing with, but obviously it's got to be one of the most challenging areas in the country to keep clear. You've got to have that also. Maybe you have a special patch you can put on your on your jacket that says that you plow 550.
We should come up with that. That's not a bad idea.
And then you could go sell them around the country, right?
Right? Yeah.
See, I'm an idea guy, Clint. I'm an idea guy. 5%. That's all I need right there. Have you talked to other folks, other plow drivers around the country, and gotten their reaction from what they do compared to what you do?
Yeah. We meet other plow drivers constantly, doing trainings and everything out of town, and they say no, thank you. They rather be on I-70, which I'm just the opposite. I rather plow these mountains than plow I-70. You couldn't pay me enough to plow I-70. I'm not interested in that enough. And that's what they say about these mountains. They rather plow I-70 and couldn't pay them enough to be on the mountain. So it's to each their own, I guess.
And I'm sure there's a special kind of driver that has to plow around Metro Denver too.
Absolutely, yep. That's definitely not my forte. I'm a small town guy. I can't deal with all that traffic.
Yeah, you probably don't work your way down this way too much, do you?
No, not plow driving, no. Definitely go down there for trainings, but for plowing, no.
Yeah,
but we do send some guys down there every winter. We help kind of fill in down there, so we do have guys from our area that go, and it's good experience for them. Get some little different scenery. Other parts of the state are taking care of their winter operation, so good experience. But you don't see anyone from that area sending help up our way.
So it's not reciprocal, is what you're saying?
It's not reciprocal, not at all. No.
Well, maybe I can talk to the people in charge. Anyway, if you had, I don't know if you have kids, but would you want one of your children to do what you do and follow in your footsteps?
It wouldn't bother me none. Like I said, it's very rewarding. It's good work. It's hard work. It's honest work. And you're not going to get rich doing it, but you're going to learn a lot of different skills, see a lot of different areas, and be able to do a lot of different stuff and play with big equipment. So if that's what they want to do, I'll support them 100%.
Yeah, it sounds great. You're like you said, if people could afford it, I think a lot more people would be down there because, Uray and Telluride, I had a Jeep Wrangler for a while, and my wife and I, before we had kids, rolled down to Telluride and took the Jeep over Imogene Pass, and that was spectacular, really fun, but also quite precarious when you have, the side mirror on the one side almost scraping the wall that's right next to you, and then you have maybe a foot and a half of clearance on the right side, and then if you miss, then you're going down 500 feet. So
yeah, that's a whole nother thrill in its own, off-road jeeping like that. So
yeah, you're not kidding, but it is also a beautiful part of the state, one of my favorite parts.
It is.
Definitely.
Yes.
Well, Clint, thank you so much for your time and sharing your stories. It really is nice to hear a perspective like that on what people do for a living and all the work that you do to keep it clear for the folks who really need it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking your time to have me on there. Hope to do it again sometime.
Perfect. All right, Clint, thank you so much for your time.
Yep, thank you, Jason. Have a good one.
Again, you can see pictures and read the online version of this story. You just go to the link in the description of this show, and boom, there it is. You can get it right there. And I wouldn't mind trying to drive a plow just once. I think I though, wouldn't have the patience to deal with all the idiot drivers that try to get around plows and follow right behind them, or drive like they're from Florida and have no regard to a snowy road at all. I think I would have no patience for that, especially around the entire Front Range of Colorado, where there's a lot of people driving, and they feel like the snow is just a minor inconvenience to them, no matter how much snow is on the road, and they're going to just barrel through at 60 or 70 miles an hour anyway. And then if plow is there, you're just stopping me. Get away! Get out of my way! I can do it a lot better. I think that would make me well, probably not want to drive a plow at all, because I think it takes a special kind of mentality to deal with dumb people on the roads anyway, and to be in a plow at the same time, that takes an even more special kind of mentality. And I think that's why probably Clint likes being down there in southwest Colorado, where there are fewer people than along the Front Range, where around Denver and all the cities along the Front Range of Colorado, where it obviously is a lot busier than down in Ouray and Silverton and Durango and Montrose. Anyway, thanks again for being here. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or maybe even some feedback for that interview or anything else you've heard on one of my podcasts, you, of course, can call the listener hotline, 303-832-0217, or, of course, you can get me on any of the contact links in the description of this show. Thanks for listening, and until next time, I'm Jason Looper, the traffic guy. Be safe, and as always, happy motoring.